So earlier this year, in Feb 2024, we spent on Facebook ads in 1 month $82,452.88. And from that, we got back in cash collected in the same month, $433,319. Total sales revenue, so if all the payment plans come in, we generated $891,939, which means our cash profit was just over $350,000. Our revenue profit was just over $809,000. Our cash ROAS was 5.26, and our revenue ROAS, didn't say that right, is 10.82. So, how did we do it? So, I'm going to walk you through the exact strategy we use to get those numbers in a second here, but first it's important to understand why it works so well, because it's not that it's just some crazy super secret strategy, it's the principles behind the strategy that made it work. And when you understand the principles, it allows you to apply it to different parts of your business or different marketing campaigns. So with this graph right now, we're going to explain. So you can see on the left-hand side here, this R stands for market receptiveness. So this is how your market receives your marketing and your advertising. So if they receive it well, it's high receptiveness, you make money, you're in the green. If they don't receive it well, low receptiveness to your marketing message, then you don't make any money or you lose money, especially if you're advertising. So that's the left-hand side. Obviously you want to be up here. On the bottom, we have your advertising and your messaging. So in the red, which you don't want to be on the right-hand side here, is how salesy your advertising is. So how much it feels like advertising. Where in the green down here, this is non-salesy. So this is how more natural and authentic your advertising is. And across all markets, the graph looks a little bit like this. So the people whose advertising is non-salesy and high receptiveness makes them the most money. If your marketing is super salesy, low receptiveness, then you don't make any money. Now, it's important to note that different markets respond differently to different types of advertising. So every market or niche is going to hold a different position against different types of advertising. So for example, in the we help coaches coaches niche, right? They have been exposed to the digital marketing world and different advertising tactics a lot. They are very burnt out with all the different tactics and strategies. So a lot of the time it's harder to market to those people because they've seen all the tricks before. So they generally have low receptiveness. But for example, if you are helping artists sell more of their paintings, then they will probably be a bit less jaded and have been a bit less exposed to like marketing tactics online. So therefore they are more receptive to different marketing. So what would work in the artist space probably wouldn't work in the we help coaches space. So for example, right now in 2024, along the lines of here, you've probably got Webbies, which is webinars, right? That's what the cool kids call it. So this is where webinars is, right? Webinars right now, if you go and do, especially in like, again, the coaches space, if you go and create a webinar that is for coaches, then they aren't going to have that. They've seen it all before. They've been through the Russell Brunson perfect webinar script before. They've been sold before. You just aren't going to get any opt-ins. You're not going to get people to show up. And you're not going to get people to buy. So if you're marketing to that market, the last thing you want to do is a webinar. But again, it could work to the artist niche. The artist niche, it could work, right? Because here's the thing though, markets change as time goes by. So why did webinars work in the beginning? Well, because what people were used to seeing online was an ad that sent them to a sales page to buy. And eventually the market got jaded with the direct to sales page approach. So people came with webinars, which was a free training. So what happened was people saw in the newsfeed on Facebook, oh, they're not trying to sell me, i.e. it was non-salesy, it's just a free training. That's awesome. They would attend the webinar and of course they would get sold and the people made loads of money. But again, as more and more people do webinars, that particular market gets exposed to webinars. The message of a webinar or the tactic of a webinar goes from non-salesy to salesy, which is where we find ourselves today. And that's when people say, for example, switch to a VSL. Stands obviously for video sales letter. This is like a 15-minute presentation that got people to book in a sales call. Well, that felt pretty new and non-salesy to the people who were used to sitting through 90-minute presentations. Because in the ad, the advertiser would be like, it's not a 90-minute presentation, it's just a 50-minute video training. I'm not gonna sell you anything, right? Because technically they weren't, they were just getting them to book in a free phone call. So again, that type of messaging and marketing worked really well, non-salesy. And when VSLs got released, it was up here. But again, as more and more people do VSLs, it starts to make its way down and becomes less effective, because now if someone says in an ad on Facebook, hey, I've got nothing to sell you, it's just a 15-minute case study, you fucking know they're gonna give you no value in the VSL, and they're just gonna get you to ask to book a call. So as you can see, when a new marketing tactic enters the marketplace, it usually starts up here and makes its way down here. So what you need to do is understand where your market lies in terms of its sophistication, and then analyze what type of marketing strategy you can use that starts at the top here. It's why, for example, UGC content works really well, because it doesn't feel very salesy. It's why people are now selling coaching services with Google Docs, because in the beginning, the Google Docs, they didn't feel salesy, because people are used to being sent to a ClickFunnels page. So they opened up a Google Doc and was like, oh, this is different, let me read. They would read the messaging and therefore then be converted into a client. It's not that the Google Doc is this just like amazing selling tool. It's just the fact that when they went to the Google Doc, it felt non-salesy, so they then consumed the marketing message and then bought. The same with webinars a few years ago. It's not that webinars are magical, it's just that it didn't feel very salesy, so people actually attended, they watched, consumed the marketing message, and then bought. So the marketing message still needs to be good. It's not how you package it up, but what does make it effective is, depending on where the market is in terms of its sophistication, what strategy you use. So the key is to not make your marketing feel like marketing, and it's to make your ads not look like ads. So this is what we did to generate those numbers. We did what we call a free beta test group. So our niche for this was business coaching, and it was in quite like it wasn't exactly as wide as like, hey, we help coaches. It was within a niche of that, but still a market that had been exposed a lot to this sort of stuff, webinars, VSLs, all of that, right? So we had done challenges and webinars, and they worked and made a little bit of money, but not what we wanted. So we switched up the strategy. And what we did was, instead of being like, hey, come to our free training or watch a case study or attend our 5-day challenge, we went to the marketplace and we said, hey, what we're doing is we've created a course. And what we want to do is send a group of people through it first for free. And all you have to do in exchange for free access to the course and the coaching is just give us some feedback, or if you get results at the end of it, a testimonial. So what happens is we create 3 weeks worth of course content, and throughout those weeks we also do live coaching. So it starts on a particular date and then it's 3 weeks long. And what happens is because this was a new way to present the same messaging and the same belief breaking, the same social proof, all like the selling and marketing strategies that you use in your webinars and your VSLs, we used in this free beta test. But because we went to the market and it was different to what they're used to seeing, it came in as non-salesy, and it allowed us to make more money. Because there's a few different advantages to this free beta test. Number one, leads are cheaper because it's new. If you try and run leads for a webinar, cost per lead is going to be like what, like $10, $15, depending on your niche and your market. Free beta test, when we launched this, we were getting leads in like the US and the UK for about $3 to $4, okay? So the leads are cheaper. The attendance rate and the show up rate is higher than a webinar. Why? Because again, people might register for a webinar, but all they think in the back of their heads is, oh, I know it's going to be a 90-minute training of fluff, and then at the end, they're going to sell me something. I can't be bothered to show up. So that's why attendance rates are really low for webinars. But with this, because again, it didn't feel salesy, it's free course and free coaching, which it was. We provided the course content. We provided 10 to 20 coaching calls over that 3-week period. So it was super valuable. We delivered on the promise, but it also didn't feel very salesy. So we got a high attendance rate and a high engagement rate. So what that did, it allowed the people to consume the marketing message. And with any of these types of tactics, again, you have to sell them on your opportunity, break the false beliefs, and then sell them kind of like on your product and service. And we did all of that. And then because of that, we were able to get such high conversions because so many people actually consumed the course and went through it because they were extremely receptive to that offer. We made a webinar, they would have been very unreceptive. So again, it's not that like webinars are magical. It's not that they don't work anymore. It's not that this free beta course is like the magic key for you unlocking clients, right, for your business. It's about understanding where your market lies in terms of how receptive it is to marketing tactics and understanding how you can deliver your sales and your marketing message in a unique way that they've not seen before. So they see it as non-salesy, they're extremely receptive, and you can make a load of money.